Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead and mute.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome to the Black Ibis Social Club. I'm your host, Alexander Constantine, and we got Fisto. What's up, Fisto?
Hey there. I'm really glad to have gotten all of my department store shopping done during the intro. I found this really great place
Nice.
in
So
whatever
that's
language that was.
it's in Japanese. It's called City Pop.
Okay, yes. I was down at the
All right.
Kaufman's in Tokyo, and it was quite lovely.
You're at the Uniqlo in Tokyo.
Oh, yes, that's what I meant. Of course, yes. My mistake.
Well, for you guys joining us, it's been like 2 weeks since actually I did that solo episode 2 weeks ago. And it's been about 2 weeks since we had three. This has been 3 weeks since me and Fisto have been on together. Wow, welcome, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Well, the rough part and the reason why our schedule is kind of all over the place is because one, it's Lent, and because of Lent, our church schedules are exceptionally busy. I feel like I've got Great Canon and the Feast of Annunciation yesterday, and I'm just beyond busy with church liturgy, and on top of that, I worked nights last week, so it was really difficult to do anything. And then before that, everybody wasn't feeling good, and it's just a kind of a rough week. We'll probably get 1 or 2 episodes in, and then we're gonna have to take another break for Holy Week because, well, it's Holy Week, and that's a lot more
Yeah.
important than podcasting.
I mean, the
Um,
podcast is close. The podcast is close, but no.
yeah, it doesn't match. But so I got a lot of stuff to talk about today. But how are
Outstanding.
you doing with Lent, man? Are you enjoying Lent? Are you having
Yeah,
a
yeah. I mean, my first Lent as an Orthodox Christian has been very interesting. Um, not doing so great on the fasting thing, although I have tried a few things. However, that's kind of different for me because of my diet issues. So that's been fine though. That's been interesting. Um, the extra services are really nice. I've been to some of the Vespers. I've been to some of the midweek. I don't know what you call them, but the sanctified liturgies in the middle of the week. That's been really
yeah,
cool.
pre-sanctified liturgy?
Yeah, had the father come and bless our house last week. That was really cool. Ran around throwing holy water at everything. That was fantastic.
Did you sing?
Um, no, there was no. Well, he did. We didn't know the words, so we just
Oh, they made me
enjoyed the
sing.
vibe. Oh, really? That's funny. But yeah, so that was cool. Set up our prayer corner finally. Been doing that, and yeah, I mean, I have to say it's been the most focused Lent I've ever experienced, which I suppose is the point. And I'm looking forward to future Lents, which is a strange sentence to hear coming out of my face.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. One thing I really appreciated, I guess this kind of summarizes it very nicely. But the homily last weekend explained that the services are long, the services are draining, the services are meant to beat you down into a pliable state. And I
Right.
went, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Have you guys been doing the great canon of Saint Andrew of
Um,
Crete?
I think so. I mean, services went from just over an hour to just over an hour and a half.
Oh, so
So
you guys are doing Saint Basil's liturgy.
I guess. I mean, I'll be honest. I couldn't. All I know is it's longer. There's more talking. There's more interesting things happening. But I don't still fully understand much of it.
So the canon of Saint Andrew is is very long prayer, and it takes about 2 hours or so. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
the way we've been doing them is it's not during a liturgy night or even a vespers night. And then there's like basically nothing going on altar side. The priest is on our end, and he reads, he reads part of like a stanza basically, and then um you do a prostration. You say, the choir and the lay people, they'll say like, Lord have mercy on me, a sinner. And you do a prostration, and after like an hour and like 2.5 hours, you've done probably like 100 burpees basically. Let me look it up real fast. Now it's an amazing bit of writing, right? And it's called the Great Canon, and it's just amazing, right? Like the writing
Yeah.
in it. But it's very like it makes you like it's the canon itself is a dialogue between Saint Andrew and his soul, basically, right? And
Yeah.
it's like kind of like a he's he's going like to like he's basically listing he's going through the Old Testament and all the different stories of the Old Testament and saying basically this person did this person did this, but I'm a bigger piece of crap than that, you know? And
Nice.
it is like, in a way, it's kind of like one of the most like, I guess you can say like it's like a very metal thing, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, because it's really, in a way, it's really dark, but it's also like, it's also very like, edifying. It's like, you did a troparion, which reads, "Come, wretched soul, with thy flesh to the Creator of all, make confessions to Him, and abstain henceforth from thy past brutishness, and offer to God's tears of repentance." And you do constant like prostrations throughout the whole thing, and you know, um, So like you'll do, you'll do like, just these like a verse, and then they're singing prostrations in the next verse, and there's just some like really like beautiful like lines in it. And we did that on Saturday. And so with me with Lent, I was very excited when Lent started. Okay. I was pumped, as pumped as you can be about Lent, I guess. It should be a good thing, right? It should be a joyful thing. But I was excited, and I was completely wrong. But what I mean about that is that the way I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like cut out a bunch of different food. I'm gonna cut out a bunch of stuff. One of the things I did was like, I'm not gonna do any like entertainment during the week. Like we're not gonna watch any TV. I'm gonna read the Bible more. I'm gonna just read books. I'm gonna not play video games, not watch television. We all agreed to that. We pretty like, I was pretty excited about that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read the Gospels like the whole time. And I started pretty good, started pretty strong. The first week we did the canon almost every day, and Vespers every day, and I was pumped. And as always happens, the world comes down at you. When you're like, I guess I had this expectation that it was going to be this like almost, like kind of like kind of corny, like Buddhist power leveling kind of thing, where I was going to do all this stuff and I was going to feel amazing and I was going to feel completely. And instead, it just like it's beating me down, right? And I'm not talking about like, but like between, for some reason my work has doubled, at work, and my daughter got sick, and taxes are due, and I gotta pay, I gotta probably pay like 4 to 5 grand worth of taxes so they can put
Hmm.
fresh coats on the Tomahawk missiles, or and I like my spine surgery is coming up, and for some reason like it's hurting like extra this month, and it's just, that's when the thoughts start coming in. You know what I mean? The thoughts of like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Like, and I had this moment last week. My daughter was sick and she stayed home from school, and she had like 3 days of fever. And the third day she was getting better. And my wife was working on a project, so she had to step out for the day. So I stayed home from work, and I was gonna hanging out with her. And we went to, I didn't have any food in the house. So like, let's go get brunch. Like you need to eat a lot of food because it's been
Hmm.
like, she hasn't been eating a lot. So we went to like a local brunch spot, and of course my daughter orders like an extra side of delicious scrumptious bacon, and it's
Mm.
sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I just really want this bacon. So I grabbed a piece of bacon and I ate the bacon, right? And I was like, right away, I was like, okay, this is stupid. It's no big deal. Like, obviously, like it's not a huge deal that I ate the bacon, right? And and then I thought, I go, well, in a way, it kind of like illustrated what the point of Lent is. I guess you're not supposed to be great and pumped up about it, right? It's supposed to
Yeah.
show you the difficulty of it, of how hard it is. And I realized it's like, okay, if it's so hard for me, to like resist the bacon, it was so easy for me to like justify breaking my own rule. How easy, is it to like, I don't know, take $10,000 in bribes because I need to pay off my taxes, or you know, I can't resist bacon. How can I resist like, uh, you know, cheating on my wife? And that, that's the kind of stuff it makes you think about, right? And it's not like, it's not. Again, I don't think it's supposed to make you feel bad, but it's supposed to show you that like you just can't
Yeah.
do it alone. You just can't do it
Yeah.
alone. And
Yeah. It's meant to direct you to the prayer of the penitent retard.
Mhm.
Just, oh, I am evil and retarded. Okay, cool.
Exactly,
Got it.
like
Fantastic.
exactly, like, um, and like, let me see if I can find this like canon of let me find, like, there's a part of the canon that I want to read to you, right? Let's see. Man, what did we do?
Look, look, look. Look,
My
look, look.
internet's super slow. But yeah, but like so I've been having a hard time. I guess I've been having a hard time with it. I thought it was gonna be like this easy thing where I was gonna like, P90X through and be a badass. And yeah, I'm not. I'm not,
Yeah.
like I eat the bacon. There's days where like I have no desire to go to church. I'm just like, I have no desire, I'm like, oh, I just want to get into bed, and turn on some anime and just, just do nothing, right? Like just be a bum, right? Like I just want to like just sit there and I don't know, and I guess that's the point, right? That's the point. That's the challenge, right? That like we
Yeah.
are like presented with these like failures of ourselves, and then we see it. But other than that, I'm pretty good, just working. I did what I do. Um I'll talk about later. All right, so let's move on to now that like we got enough people chilling. Everybody, welcome. Um, we're gonna talk about some drama. Okay. All right. I don't know if you guys can see the screen. We're gonna go and who do we got here? Who does this remind you of? Old Daria Morgendorfer. Right. So
There it is. I was waiting for the photo. I was waiting for the photo.
all right. So many times in like online discourse, you guys have all heard of like the different like analysis of different like men, like for example, like what's it called, like like a beta male, an alpha male, and all that stuff, right? And there's a lot of those kind of there's a lot of discourse like that, right? There's a lot of discourse like, oh, you're a beta male, you're a gamma male. I think Vox Day, if you're familiar with Vox Day, not my favorite, but he'll talk a lot about like the gamma male and this kind of stuff. We don't really talk about the female versions of this stuff, right? And I think
Right.
that
No, we don't.
and I think that there's a type of woman, there's a type of girl online, and she's the Daria Morgendorfer, right? And and if you guys are like all like the Gen Zers in the chat are gonna be like, who are you talking about?
Who's
What is
this?
Daria? Who's Daria Morgendorfer, right?
Who's
And
Daria? And we're gonna be like, it's your grandmother, guys. It's your grandmother. That's who it is.
yeah, Dave Green actually has talked about this before, and he refers to her as the girl who reads, or the girl that
The girl who
reads,
reads.
right? And so back in the olden days when MTV was good, there was the first like big MTV show was Beavis and Butthead. For you guys are familiar with the Beavis and Butthead era, right?
Yes.
And
TP for my bunghole.
TP for my butthole, right? And around that same era, I think it was the mid 90s, because it was like my generation of MTV.
Yeah.
The show Daria came out.
Yeah.
And if you look at the picture, that is Daria. Her name is Daria Morgendorfer. She has a younger sister named Quinn, which I named my dog after. Like,
perfect.
My dog's name is Quinn, who's like this peppy blonde. No, she's like a little peppy redhead, and her dad's a complete total retard, and her mom is like a boss lady. So very millennial coded, very like late Gen X coded. And the kind of the comedy in the whole Daria thing, and I don't know, like in the chat, if anybody, have you guys seen Daria? Like, I don't know, does anybody still remember Daria? I used to actually like the show. Did you like the show when you were younger?
Not really. It was just kind of, I didn't find Daria appealing, and I didn't personally find Daria all that, like, it was just, I mean, I get that it's a classic and I get that people like it, but I looked at, I'm like, I don't want to experience that person. Right. And it kind of makes sense considering some of the people I've been shit posting the past couple of weeks. So it's like, yeah, no, it's just move on. Yeah, no, I was more our later topic. I'll reveal some embarrassing facts.
Right.
But
is our chat now working?
No, it's working. I think people are just a little quiet.
No, I'm trying to.
Hey, there we go. Actually, I've not seen the show, but I've seen her face all over the internet. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so in the show, my chat's not loading. It's like keeps on like blocking up. But in the show, Daria is the older sister of two, and she's got these like normie suburban parents. Her dad's kind of a dork, and her mom is like a boss lady, always on the cell phone and that kind of thing. And Daria is a high school girl. She's really smart. Like, she is like a reader, she's like, and she's exceptionally Gen X sarcastic. Like she is a kind of a she has this Gen X uninteresting nihilism type of thing going on about her. All the people at the high school are like ridiculous caricatures, and it's very like she's a cool. She wears like Doc Martens, and she knows everything. She's always like quoting poetry and talks about Proust and stuff. Her like best friend is Jane, and Jane is basically this art hoe who like, and she has like the side cut thing going on, and she also wears like big old boots and stuff, and they're just like cool girls. But they're like the kind of cool girls like no, like like there's like a scene of them like playing volleyball in the opening, and like the ball comes and she just like watches it bounce. She doesn't even try. It's like she's too cool to try. She's smarter than everybody. She's just she's just a girl who's like smart and reads a lot, and she's always like dropping sarcasm, and she's kind of a template for a lot of people. She's a template for this like disaffected vocal fry kind of girl that became really popular in my generation, in your generation too, well, our generation, Fisto. And she was kind of like an icon of this like whatever, but like she wasn't like like a lot of girls really like Daria. I really like Daria. Like I actually like saw myself as a Daria kind of character. So what is the Daria character, right? The Daria character comes out of I think this started like in the 80s with like movies like Revenge of the Nerds, but it really like started like picking up steam with the whole 16 Candles, what's the movie when they're in detention?
Breakfast
Club, and the kind of the smart girl. You can see an example. The actress that is most like Daria would be Janine Garofalo. And there's that movie where she's like a radio host and she's kind of like and also have
Jean Garofalo in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion,
right? And there's just Janine Garofalo in all movies
just in
is
general,
basically Daria, right?
In general,
and you see it in the movie Mean Girls, kind of with the side character in Mean Girls, who's like the artsy smart girl, and they usually have this like gay male friend that's kind of like the gay dude that hangs out. They're kind of outcast, and there's this ultimate theater girl type of thing,
just as a way of contrast. I think I realized why I never really got into the Daria archetype, because I was one-shotted by Winona Ryder in Beetlejuice, and in our later topic, we're going to get into Diner Goth. She's kind of like she's Diner Goth, but she's got that optimistic pixie energy where it's like it's going to be okay though,
right?
Like death, decay, everything sucks, but it's going to be okay. There's going to be redemption. It's going to be all right. Which Daria doesn't have that. No, it's pure just materialist death. Like no, there's nothing. Complete total nihilism. She basically reminds me of kind of like a prototypical Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, where it's
right. But minus the cuteness. Sheldon and
the charisma.
Yeah. Well, Sheldon and the entire like that whole like the Daria era turned into the geek era.
Yes, 100%.
The geek era 100%. Is in a way a reaction to the Daria era. It's keeping some of the stuff of the Daria type era, and so this really comes out of the 80s, and like I said, like the Breakfast Club, early Janine Garofalo, the grunge era, this whole disaffected youth thing, this whole Kurt Cobain Nirvana thing, which I'm going to go on to an aside. I saw like I think it was I forget who posted it, but it was like it was a quote from something about Billy Corgan going on about how like the CIA killed rock music, right? In the 90s. And Billy Corgan has gone, like I like Billy Corgan and I like the Smashing Pumpkins, but look, the CIA didn't kill rock music, all right?
No.
Rock music killed rock music.
Yeah, have you ever looked at Billy Corgan? That dude was never going to stay like on the wagon.
Like what killed rock music is that rock music in the 90s, like people, like there's a lot of younger people, like a lot of Gen Z guys that are like, oh, rock music got killed by like rap. No, no, dude. The people guilty of killing rock music were the rock stars themselves in the 90s, right? Because rock was like kind of like cock jock, crazy Guns N' Roses in the 80s. And then Nirvana came on the scene and killed all that, just like bitch slapped Axl Rose and all those guys
Oh
from,
yeah,
and
straight up
unfortunately,
obliterated.
Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam and all the guys like Lane Stanley from Alice in Chains, all those guys they rejected 80s like fun rock. Like it's like 80s rock
Right.
was
They
fun.
disappeared. They disappeared up their own colons.
Right. 80s rock was fun. It was crappy
Yeah.
for most part, right? But it was fun,
Right.
And
They were in on the joke. They were in on the joke.
They were in on the joke. It was fun, and you can party to. You can still listen to Van Halen and stuff right now,
Oh,
and it's
dude,
like party time,
Yeah, absolutely. Rock and roll.
but then-
Let's go.
But then the grunge era came up, and it was serious, and it was very like, I don't want to be cool, I don't want to be popular. Being popular is bad. Being like, being mainstream is bad. Everybody called each other posers in the 90s, and like being into stuff was not cool. You're like, oh, what are you like? What are you like, a poser or something like that? You're trying hard. Being excited about things was not cool, and it just you look at the albums put out by like Nirvana, you have this like banger of a hit, right? And then every album after that, it's like Kurt Cobain went out of his way to be not commercial, to be more experimental, and to reject the crowds. This was the era where like, who wants to pay hundreds of dollars to go see a band that just stands stiff on the stage and depresses you? Right? Of course rap won, because rap was turned up. All right. You had like Busta Rhymes busting in the house, coming out like, about like drinking 40s and partying with your boys and stuff. Like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to depressed ass Billy Corgan reminisce about like his girlfriend that dumped him in 1979 or wherever, and his dad beating him. Or you're gonna listen to some Snoop D-O-double-G sipping on gin and juice. All right. Like, nobody's going to go sit around the club listening to Pearl Jam. Right? You know what I mean? Right. So, of course, the radio picked up on the rap stuff. Of course, the radio picked up on pop music. Do you remember that like short little era where there was ska, and ska was supposed to be fun? Do you remember that era? Like
ska was fun.
It was fun. It was like Mighty
Mighty
Boss Tones,
You're like
and it was that
around,
kind of stuff.
jumping around. Yeah. It was great.
Right.
That stuff came on and everybody wanted to move.
Yeah, the only thing it
Everybody
didn't have any staying power, and then like the whole era of the new metal stuff, it's just those guys just kind of burnt themselves out because there was not much substance to it. And really like people, like a lot of people go, oh, like rock died. No, rock killed itself, guys. All right, like I'm gonna be honest here. Like most of the guys like I love Alice in Chains, but Alice in Chains killed Alice in Chains. I mean, the guy was going on stage. He was so fucked up on drugs that he had a colostomy bag on stage. Okay. Like, rest in peace, dude. But like, that's not something people want to do and listen to for fun. All right. Like, music is supposed to be fun to a certain degree, right? I like the depressing stuff. I'm like a, goth era guy, but you're not listening to the guy, singing about dying for the 50th time at the club. You want to go out and have fun and meet people. And it was the early 2000s. It was exciting. 9/11 happened and people wanted to like escape, and rock and roll just did not do that for anybody. There was no escapism in rock and roll. So pop, like, poppy rock and that kind of stuff. And Britney Spears came up and all that stuff, like, like kind of excessive early 2000s stuff. That's what killed everything. I mean, there's the commercialism. There's the fact that like Clear Channel bought all the radio stations. There's a lot of stuff, but it's not a conspiracy. Like, anybody that like lived through the 90s knows exactly why that era of like big stage rock and roll went away, because nobody wants to watch Eddie Vedder acoustic guitar, like about being depressed and, and like hating on Ticketmaster or whatever Eddie Vedder was on in the late 90s, early 2000s. Remember that whole thing, right? Like, it's depressing. It's like the Eddie Vedder, Sean Penn hour about like singing about like,
it's amazing because, I mean, Pearl Jam Pearl Jam has a song with one of the greatest freaking guitar solos of all fucking time.
Right.
And then they just disappeared up their own butthole.
Right.
It was okay, no fun allowed now. We've made it. No fun allowed.
Yeah. And I love Pearl Jam. I've seen Pearl Jam like numerous times, right? I went and saw Pearl Jam. I saw like this great. They put on a 4-hour show, and it was amazing. And it was around
Yeah.
the Yield era, but yeah, and then they just went weird and acoustic and very depressing, and it just their music did not match the era, right? But
Yeah.
that was a digression because I was thinking about the 90s and I was thinking about that kind of stuff. But if you watch Daria, she was too smart for everything, and she was kind of an asshole to everybody. And in a way, if you lived your life like Daria, you would just miss out
Yeah.
on high school. And you'd miss out on high school because you'd be too cool for high school. You'd be too cool to like, join the wrestling team and like wrestle with your bros, or you're too cool to like, I don't know, talk to the cheerleader because I'm sorry, I'm reading Proust, And
it strikes me that Daria is essentially what sainthood looks like in the managerial liberal state.
right,
I'm
right.
too smart for everyone. I'm too smart for everything else. I have it all figured out, and I'm going to be assholes to everyone, but they don't realize I'm an asshole because I'm just too ascended.
I'm too smart. I'm too
Yes,
deep,
exactly.
right?
I read too many
And
books. Do you know that I read
oh,
lots of writers who write things? Yes,
yeah, I
they
read
write
a
many
lot of
things that I
stuff.
read.
I'm really deep,
Yes,
right? And I
yes,
know
yes.
I know that the Daria lifestyle is miserable. You know why? Because I was that person. Okay, like I did that. All right. I look back and I'm like, oh man, it would have been kind of cool if I like got involved in like stuff. If I like, I don't know,
Yeah,
cared about like my high school or college or like that probably would have been fun. I look back on it. You know what I mean? No, but I was
yeah,
too cool. I was like too cool. I was like, I'm just gonna go around the corner and smoke cigarettes and like, read Dostoevsky again. Right. And it's just like it's such a downer asshole thing to do. And like I said, I'm saying this as a person, as a person that did that. I was
yes.
I was too cool to be a drama kid. Okay, that's how bad I was. I was just like, dude, like those guys are
Too cool to be a
losers,
drama kid.
right? Those
Woof,
guys are losers, man.
woof.
Like I'm just gonna ditch school and like go hang out at Barnes and Noble
Oh
instead.
man,
And that's the kind of person I
right.
was. And it's like when you stop having fun, you just and it's kind of miserable. It is. It's like, oh, did you ever hear of this band? Yeah, you probably never heard of them. Like that kind of like attitude.
Probably never
Like
heard of them.
yeah, you probably never heard
You're
of
just
them.
making up bands. You're just making
Yeah.
up bands that no one's
Did you
ever heard
ever
of. So you can
like,
say
oh, or like you like film, right? Like I don't like movies, I
film.
like film.
Yes.
I only watch
Did you have the film and movie distinction that
well,
when
of
you talk to
course.
people? Yeah.
Okay.
Like no. Oh,
Like,
you watch movies?
oh, you watch
Disgusting.
movies? Oh no, I watch
Disgusting.
films.
You watch films.
You can come over tonight. We can watch
I was
Tarkovsky
that kid. I
together.
was that kid 100%.
Yeah, but and it's like, and you kind of end up becoming a bitter dork, and you look down upon everybody, and you become Dostoevsky's underground man, where you're like hating on everybody, and then you really become, you become Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment,
Yeah.
who thinks he's better than everybody, and I'm so much better than everybody that I am going to kill this old lady and steal her money because it's better if I have it because I'm better than her,
Yeah.
and that's the whole
Yeah.
point of Raskolnikov.
Yeah, my darling wife reminded me that recently we watched Ghost World, and
Oh yeah, that's another
yeah, major
exactly
Daria
that stuff.
vibes, major Daria vibes.
Right. But we've all known Daria in real life. Okay. We've all known the Daria in real
We've
life.
also known her on Substack.
And we've also known her on Substack, right? And it's like she like modeled her looks after her almost. And
no, it's kind of weird. It's kind of accusation is confession.
Right. And but like Dave Green, he named a Daria person the girl that reads, right? And it can be the boy that reads, but it can be unisex here, right? The person that reads, right? And what do we mean by the person that reads, right? Is so there's a certain type of kid growing up, and I'm talking 100% from personal experience, right? And that's the kid that like reads a lot of books, and when you read books, when you're a young person that reads book, you know what adults do to you, man? What do you think they do to you? They give you brownie points, right? They're like, oh, you read? Oh yeah, you're a reader,
You read?
And
dude, back in the day, you got literal personal pan pizzas from Pizza Hut for reading.
Oh, like
take
what kind
brownie points and shove them up your ass.
Right. So you become the person. You become the person that like reads a lot because this is people that are usually smarter, higher IQ people, and you're kind of you're tired of your boring classmates because they're dumb and they're having a hard time catching up with anything. So instead of doing the boring stuff, you're sitting there and you're reading Dostoevsky in high school. And once again I know this because that was me. And you start having contempt for everybody, and you're constantly reading everything, trying to prove yourself to the adults, because that's how you get validation.
Yeah.
Right. And you start
And-
telling yourself, well, fuck those jocks, man, those guys are stupid,
And
and
secretly, it's all about that pepperoni pizza, though. I mean, at the end of the day,
it's always about the
at
pepperoni
the
pizza,
end of the
right?
day, like all this high-minded bullshit, and you're just like, can I get extra cheese? Like, come on,
Right.
you're still just a little bitch at the end of the
But what happens though
day.
is for some of the Darias, right? They'll make it to college, and they'll meet a bunch of other people that are also exactly the same person as they are, because they realize, oh man, in my small Boduk ass town, I was the smartest person there was. I was the girl that reads. I was Daria Morgendorfer. But they'll get to like a college, and oh my gosh, there's a crap ton of Daria Morgendorfers there, and then the next thing that happens is, they realize that once they're out of college and stuff, nobody cares.
They get that
Nobody
first job.
cares.
Yeah, they get that first job where the manager, who has never even heard of books, is like, "Shut the fuck up, or I'll just fire you."
Right.
They
So
run back into power.
Right. You either grow up and realize that, like, reading and being this like intelligent, smart, kind of like sarcastic asshole is actually like, it's
It actually
actually
makes me
like
unemployable.
yeah, it makes you unemployable, right?
Oh no.
And
Oh,
nobody
no.
likes you.
Nobody
Right?
likes me.
Or
I can't,
you realize
I
that,
can't
like,
succeed.
you can be a multifaceted individual, a full human being, and be into all kinds of things and be a decent person, but also be a reader. And, realize that just because you're into a more intellectual pursuit doesn't make you a better person than the guy that's into, freaking, what do you call it? I don't know, sports ball or whatever. Right. And
Yeah.
it's perfectly fine in a way. And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest truths I realized I actually realized this pretty early in high school and stuff, right? Is that there in movies, the nerd is always like this person with a heart of gold, the weird goth chick in the corner that's like kind of weird and just reads. They're really a nice person, or like the nerdy people that get picked on are like really nice people. But in real life, they're actually kind of assholes if you ever like deal with those people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you ever like try to be friends with like those kind of people. They're actually kind of assholes. Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason nobody wants to talk to them. It's not because they're like nerdy and they read, it's because they're assholes usually,
Right.
And like the weird Asian kid, people don't like, dislike him because he's like a super smart dude or whatever. No, they dislike him because those people are usually assholes if you try to be friends with them,
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you realize that, like, as an adult, like, your achievements and what you did is just normal. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You can be the person that reads, you can be the person that reads and the person that plays, volleyball, and the person that does this and the person that does that. And all types of people have value to your life. And really, it's about friendships and community and everything. And it's not really about your own intellectualism, like, and your own kind of nerdiness. But some people never give up, and then they come to Substack, and
they get that open orange check mark.
Right, to get that open orange
and
check
feel
mark.
like it was all worthwhile. It was all worthwhile.
Right. And a lot of it is like they as adults, they are constantly trying to reclaim that Daria kind of essence, right? Of wanting to feel special because they read. So they have to let everybody know that they read, because there's no longer a teacher patting you on the head. Good girl. Oh wow, you read Dostoevsky.
Yes.
Wow, you're so advanced.
Yes.
Or like
now
you read
it's
like
the cold.
Right. Now it's like, yay.
Like.
Okay. So and there's a desperate like need to belong and a desperate need to like, basically like differentiate yourself from like the chud, and And ultimately, it's absolutely kind of boring, right? The chat, everybody's listing what they read in high school. I actually read Dostoevsky in high school. That was that, and Dickens was a middle school thing for me. We had to read Tale of Two Cities in 8th grade, if I remember, and we read a lot. And I think that the biggest, hardest book, not hardest, but like one of the chunkiest books we read in high school that was kind of a requirement was The Grapes of Wrath. And I actually liked The Grapes of Wrath when I was in high school, and now I realize that it's just CIA mind control slop. But yeah, that's my that's a different topic, you know. It's not a very good book in retrospective. I remember I thought it was really deep and insightful because I was a retard in high school, you know, because we're all retarded in high school to a certain degree.
Yes, 100%.
But
as a high school teacher can confirm, you were all retarded in high school.
Right. It's just the truth, you know.
All day, yes, exactly.
Right. And you get to the point where you realize that like reading's great, reading's fantastic, right? But it's just ultimately it's just a thing you do. Like you should.
I have about 130 students. I have exactly one student this year who got through the I think it's one of my Spanish War history books. I think it's the Hugh Thomas one. I think that's the name. Right. Yes, by Hugh Thomas. And I was like, that's deeply impressive. We're gonna have a conversation about it, and I'm gonna grill her on how much she actually knows. But like that's one out of 130 students, 4 years worth of students. I mean, that's as good as it gets right there, you know. And it's not a knock on any of the other kids. It's just it shows the folly of trying to get back to the high school glory days.
Right.
This Daria, this online Daria, is essentially that one dude who still goes to the same bar everybody's been going to since your 10-year anniversary.
Right.
Just stop.
And like I said, there's nothing wrong with like somebody there's this mythology in like Substack and really just online writing circles that the idea of if you're a reader, and this is something that was pushed on us in the 90s, specifically in the 2000s, and you know, television shows and that kind of stuff, they always, you know, made this big deal about reader types, you know, and it became about the act of reading itself is what mattered. Like as long as you read, you're smart. And the truth is you can read tons and tons and slop, and you're no different than the guy that spends every second of his life, you know, gooning on video games the whole time, or you know, painting miniatures, you know. It's really the quality of stuff you read does matter, and really ultimately
it's always been true.
It is a very edifying hobby, but it's no more edifying than somebody that spends every day hiking, for example, in the mountains and just enjoying nature, right? Like that. There's no difference between those two when it comes to like the value, right? And if you're like a super well-read person, well, you know, but you're just a creepy basement dweller, you're just another type of consumer. You're just another type of basement dweller, right? You're no different than the person that just sits there. You know, it might be like a higher level of like, you know, great, you're an intellectual consumer. Good job, right? But you're still no different, right? And I always there was guys I used to know in my 20s, and some of the brightest, most intellectual people I knew were absolute and total losers. There's these guys that read everything, and they would read like 2 novels a week type of thing, but they lived with their parents and were pushing 30 and never did anything with their lives, you know, and had no kids, no wife, nothing. And it's just like, you're still a loser, dude. It doesn't matter that you're, you know, a well-read loser, but you're still a loser. So the act of reading itself does not make you special. All right. The act of writing does not make you special. All right. There's nothing special about writing. It's no different than, I don't know, drawing anime or anything like that. It's still just a form of expression. It's what you do with it, what you put out, what you do, this kind of stuff. Now, the person we're talking about, right, is our friend Lisa on not our friend Lisa with a Z, right? And she had a little chimp out on the whole like literary bro crowd, and she like attacked everybody. And I kind of like stepped in, and you can see my posts, and she blocked me, so you can't really see what I was replying to. She blocked me pretty fast. Did she block you?
No, I'm nearly 100. I'm like 95% certain she's muted me. So
Oh.
I've just been just slinging bullshit at her. She's got no
Yeah.
idea.
Well,
No fucking clue.
I've been like, okay, like to be fair, like she's been irritating me for a while. I think I noticed
Yeah.
her like a few months ago and I followed her. And I think I've been going like, oh my God, her takes are so stupid and vapid, right?
Yeah,
And
they've always been garbage. It's trash.
and
It's
you see a
premium.
lot of these like proclamation, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and it's just these giant proclamations and it's so like Daria energy. The whole thing is very Daria energy
Yeah.
where it's like I watched a lot of Daria growing up energy. And what's interesting about it is that, and people go like, so, so yeah, in the chat, Mia, Mara, yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of drama. Like, so I always ignored her. I had no like, basically, I was like, okay, just another grifter, and she's initially I thought like, okay, hey, cool, I like literary talk, okay, I like getting into people and into it with people, okay, I enjoy it. I mean, everybody knows that I've gone into like tons of like beefs with fantasy people, and I've gotten into um what is it like the fantasy crowd hates me, I think, right? Like except for Josh Tatter likes me, and I actually met him in real life yesterday. What's up, Josh? If you're listening, we actually met at the coffee shop, kind of
Yeah, dude,
randomly.
I'm super jealous of that, by the way.
Yeah, but I should have taken a picture with him, but then it would have been weird. He's just as handsome in real life as he is in his picture. But
Fair.
I didn't want to mog him, you know.
I'm
But
I'm riffing off the original note. I just riffed off the original note that caused this whole thing. I don't know if you saw it, but it was just like the most mild, like two wolves joke I've ever seen.
yeah, it was
It was
completely a joke.
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Like if you're a good sport, just restack it and be like, whatever, it's fine. But let's see if this goes anywhere. Inside of you are two Lisa lives. Shoot them both and listen to the Black Ibis Social Club featuring me and Alexandra Constantine. Let's see what happens with that. Let's see if that gets me blocked.
yeah, we'll see. Well, so look, she posts very inane but very authoritative opinions
Right.
about
Yes.
novels, writing, and that kind of stuff, which is fine.
Yes.
You know what? Please do so. Post your inane stuff, post your authoritative stuff. I often post stuff where I'm completely like, and people don't get this, but I'm being very tongue in cheek where I'm like,
Yeah. Right.
I'm trying to start a dialectical talk where, like, you know what I mean? Like I'll post something like fantasy is
The
dead and it's
dialectic of the
stupid,
ship
you
post.
know?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And then people get into it with me and then like I back it up and then I explain what I mean, like that's kind of the point. Like I do it so I can get people to fight with me because I enjoy fighting. I'm like, come at me, bro, and but she posts like these very like authoritative kind of opinions that are very, very high school level. All right. And there's all these boomers like, oh my God, you're so intelligent. And it's like, okay, guys, listen, if we're on like literary, if you're the kind of person that is on Lit Stack basically, and you're reading about literature and stuff, you've probably read Dostoevsky. All right. Like, did you see my post where I was making fun of like, oh guys, I came across this great author. His name was Mark Twain, And
Yeah.
it's like, listen, all right, like back in the punk rock days, the whole point was like, hey, have you ever heard of this band? Oh, they're super underground, They're like the Tampons. Have you ever heard about them? Oh yeah, no,
The
you probably
Tampa.
haven't
Yeah.
'cause
No.
you're not
No.
cool.
Yeah. The
You're not cool
tampons.
enough, right?
Yeah.
She's the equivalent of like, have you heard about this really cool band? They're called Nirvana. It's like, okay, like who hasn't? Laura London. You guys are talking about Laura London.
Don't you dare bring. Oh God.
No,
Hey guys,
freaking Jason did it.
Alex. There's this really great composer. His name is Mozart. Have you heard of him? He's pretty good.
No, dude. What do you
Really?
write?
No. It's like stuff with like he wrote a lot of music and it's got music in it because he's a musician and that's how you can tell.
Yeah, you should definitely
Yeah,
listen to this. I should give this Mozart a try. Never heard of him. I
yeah, you
was like
should.
looking
You
through
should.
like really like kind of unique stuff, and I came across this ballet that I like is really underground. It's called
Oh,
Swan Lake by this dude named
whoa.
Tchaikovsky. Have you ever
Nah,
heard of that
nah,
one?
nah, dude. Why are you listening to that? Why are you getting into that mid stuff, man? Nutcracker. All right,
That's
that's
also
the
by
underground.
Tchaikovsky too.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the underground shit, dude. I don't know where
yeah,
you're getting your Tchaikovsky from,
nobody's ever
but
heard of that one, right? Like we
no,
can talk
dude.
about it, right?
I can't
And
believe
that's
it.
that's the thing, guys, right?
Yeah.
Like what we're making fun of her is that she makes these proclamations about stuff that like, yeah, like is there people out there that go like, no, Dostoevsky's not a great writer? No, nobody says that. Nobody's like, Tolstoy's kind of mid, bro. You know, War and Peace, not a great novel. It's kind of
Hey,
weak.
Alex. So I read this book. It really helped me understand the Iran conflict. It's called The Art of War by this guy named Sun Tzu. It's really fun. It's really interesting, dude. You should read it.
Whoa.
Yeah,
It's great that
I think I'm actually better than Hannibal Barca at war now
yeah.
because I read this Chinese guy.
Right.
So yeah.
It's that's the kind of level of stuff where right. And there's these huge proclamations like, oh, modern stuff sucks, modernism sucks. And this is not just her. A lot of the right wing kind of chuddy type guys, like the fantasy guys, they tend to do the same thing. Or like
They do this with Tolkien. They do it with Tolkien.
postmodernism is ruined. Like, first of all, motherfucker, you don't even know what modernism and postmodernism means. Okay. Like they'll say something like, oh, modernist writing is horrible, and then they're like you should read this instead, and they'll list like 5 modernist writers. You know what I mean? It's like
You know what I just realized? Like just to shit post myself here. I do that with Halo a lot. That sort of this green. But the funny thing is nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a
right.
fuck about Halo. Like bring up like the Halo pistol or like the elites wart. Everyone's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Those notes that I make about are like the least popular notes I put up, and I'm just like, come on, somebody remember this shit.
Right.
Crickets.
Yeah,
I get like
it's
5
like
likes. I get 5 likes from the same like 5. You got 5 dudes.
right,
Like
right.
fine.
Because like
All right.
you guys, there's
The
like 5
bros.
people that still remember
Yeah.
Halo, right?
Big team battle heavy on standoff. Rise up. Crickets.
Right.
Fuck.
I think I only played Halo 3, bro. I don't know. I'm like,
See, that's the thing. Like, you don't even know that's Halo 3, and I'm like, I'm over here like, I'm such a fucking piece of shit.
right. You're like you poser, you Halo poser. You don't even know what the Flood is. You don't even know what Cortana is.
No.
Cortana was my girlfriend before you even met her.
You know how pathetic this is? You guys are all out here talking about books and movies and like all this stuff. And a couple of years ago, I replayed Halo 1 with Isaiah, and he didn't know about the shoot the hunter in the back trick, which I'm sure there's like maybe one person listening that like remembers that. And I did it, and I was like, it was my crowning moment. And I'm just looking back at it now. I'm just like, I'm really glad I love him as a brother because that's the best I got. I'm gonna get to the pearly gates, and Peter's gonna be like, "That's the best you've got right there."
That was
one
your
time
peak.
you showed your friend something.
That was your
That's the
Al
peak of your
Bundy
existence.
4 touchdowns in one game or whatever. Al Bundy like peak.
Yeah. That one time you impressed your friend in a computer game, like 15 years after it was peak. Okay.
Yeah.
Great job, buddy.
That's it.
Good job.
All right.
Lord forgive me.
But no, so like I enjoy, like I said, I enjoy a good literary spat, right? Like,
absolutely, man.
Because
like
I have weird
half the point.
I have weird taste, but I am so tired. I am so like, first of all, okay, like I'm tired of hearing about the publishing industry. All right, like listen, the publishing industry sucks, right? But the way people talk about publishing, they talk like publishing is this like the intention of publishing is to find the best writer of all time or something like that, and that's not what it does. The publishing industry job is to sell you stuff. That's what their job is. Their job is to sell you stuff. And it's really about vibes, and it's about the vibes of the people that work in publishing, right? And I kind of wrote this out the other day when this thing started, right? Is that agents, when you're a writer and you get an agent, which is a really stupid thing anyways, but when you get an agent, right, that's the person that's going to represent you. forever if you work with them, right?
Forever.
Right? Like,
Forever.
and then you're going to get, if you get picked up by a publishing house, you're going to get assigned an editor, and usually that
Right.
same editor works with you forever. And then you
Yeah.
get the publishing house like marketing team that also works with you forever until they leave or you stop writing. Or
They
something
don't.
like
They
that,
don't.
right?
They don't just work for you. They don't just work with you forever. Like that's who's publishing your stuff after you're dead. After
Right.
You're gone.
So
like this is
the point is
yes, this is beyond the
that-
grave.
that agent, in order to want to work with you forever or until you fire them or they quit you, right, is that they have to like you, right? You have to, it's a relationship, right? Like this is somebody that says, the way I make money is by I like an agent makes money by selling manuscripts to publishers and they get a percentage of it, right? That means they have to like your stuff, they have to like you because they're taking a risk on you, right? Publishers also do the same thing. They have to say, I'm going to spend months or years editing, promoting, doing this for this guy, right? Or this girl. And I have to like them forever, basically. Like I have to enjoy like reading their stuff and have passion for their work. So one thing that we need to realize is that the majority of people in publishing are now women. There are New York women, liberal women, and I know for a fact none of them like me, or none of them would like me. I don't know, maybe they would because I'm pretty handsome, right? But on paper, like I probably disgust them, and they disgust me. So we're it's a mutual, thing. Right? But I don't expect them to like read my stuff and go, man, this total chud Alex, who is basically a super fascist, Orthodox Christian. Yeah, I really want to devote my life to promoting his work. No, nobody's going to do that. I'm not delusional. Okay. Like nobody's going to go, man, I'm going to promote Alex's work and which basically, and he stands for everything I stand against. He literally like everything I believe, he believes the opposite. And I'm going to devote my life to promoting his work and tie my financial well-being to his. Like, how absurd does that sound, Fisto?
100% absurd.
Right. So I know for a fact that 99.9% of the people in publishing, just on basic paper, like belief system alone, hate me 100%. So I don't care about them. Right. I've realized that. And I realized this like 10 years ago. All right. Like my goal is not to be like, my goal is not to be invited at their table. They're never going to invite me to the table, but I don't want to sit at their loser ass table anyways. I'm not interested. Okay. If like, this is going to sound like hubris, but if, somebody walks up to me and goes, Alex, I really loved your manuscript and Knopf wants to give you $10,000 down, advance for it, take it. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Why? Because I don't like those people. Okay. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to hang out with New York types. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't care. I'm not writing because I want money. All right. And those people are never going to like me. All right. And they're never going to like you. And if you're listening to this podcast, guess what? They're not going to like you ever because you're the kind of person that listens to this podcast. All right. And what an adult, mature person realizes is that's okay. It's okay, because who publishers didn't like? Dostoevsky. All right. So he had to go publish his own stuff in his own magazine, right? Because he was a drunk degenerate. He was a crazy, like right-wing guy who, I posted some of his diary. I don't know if you saw that, and he basically had to sell his stuff, and people that didn't like him actually published his stuff because he owed them money, right? Because he was borrowing money from people and he was pissing everybody off. It doesn't matter. All right. Like, that's not what we're trying to do. Like, and Lisa annoys the shit out of me because it's like, it's not fair that like they're publishing like Mara Rooney or whatever, but they're not publishing me because I'm so much smarter and I read so many more better books than her. No, it's because you suck. Not maybe you might be the best writer, but you're obnoxious. All right. Who's going to want to devote their life to promoting your annoying crap because you're so fucking annoying? All right. Like, I can't I agree with you on everything, and I want to vomit just reading your stuff because you're annoying as shit. Okay.
A publisher looks at that and goes, "That bitch is going to stab you in the back the moment anything goes wrong."
Right.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Like, can you imagine like you like working with her and she's constantly whining and stuff? It's like nobody wants to hear that shit. Like, shut up.
No. She's
right?
not whining. No. She's not whining. She's dragging you on Twitter.
And blocking you. But
yeah,
there was the thing is,
there was somebody that was trying to give me a hard time about this, and she's a longtime follower, so I'm not gonna shitpost the name, but it is something I think worth saying. Murder is not just killing people; it's also ruining their reputation. And what these people do is exactly that. And then they play the, oh, look at me, I'm the victim, I'm the weak woman. How dare you say anything against this? It's like, bitch, go back to the lunch table in high school. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Everybody's like, it's just tell these people no. Just tell these people no. Nope. You can't get away. Just stop it. Stop. Just don't make me call your father. Like,
right. And
that is essentially the attitude that they're
and that's the thing is that, like, I agree with her, that, like, yeah, the publishing industry sucks, but what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Just who cares, right? Like, yeah, of course. Guess what? Movies, that industry sucks too, whatever. All right. Like, life sucks. Like, it's not fair. I'm not going to go over there and like, let me sit at your table, guys. I'm so smart. It's like, no, nobody cares. All right. Like, I'm sorry. That's just the real world, man. Nobody cares about your like smart girl. And that's where the smart girl thing comes in, right? It's like, she expects like everybody to like realize what of a deep, intelligent person she is because she reads Dostoevsky. It's like, yeah, okay. Guess what? I read Dostoevsky in high school. All right. I read it in high school. Everybody thought I was like real smart. And all my teachers like, here, read Crime and Punishment. Here, read The Brothers Karamazov. Here, read Anna Karenina and all that stuff. And you know what? I was an asshole. Okay. I was an asshole. And I was an asshole that I expected everything to be handed to me because everything was handed to me. And I was the smart guy who like, I never studied because I could show up to class and score the highest on the tests all the time. And it gave me an entitled asshole attitude. And it, when I went into the real world, I got slapped in the face, when I realized that like, oh, I better learn this stuff before I get blown up in Afghanistan, and that kind of stuff. Cause I can't read my way out of an IED. And,
I can't hold up, back up the truck. I can't read my way out of an IED.
Right. It's just the truth. Right. And this whole idea of I'm so tired of people going, there's no good books written in the 2000s.
I'm sorry.
Like,
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm thinking about one of those unarmored Humvees, and I'm picturing you just duct taping copies of Dostoevsky to it.
Yeah, it's protecting me, guys. You can't blow me up,
guys.
You can't blow me up. I read Dostoevsky. You can't blow me up,
guys. I've got these great books. I'm gonna tape them to the car. I'm gonna tape them to the Humvee, and we'll be fine.
Like, I read Camus.
I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I read Camus, guys, and I would find that existentially absurdist if I were to get blown up in Afghanistan. No.
Hey, guys. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's these things called guns. They're really good at war.
Yeah. No, it's ultimately like absurd, right? And look, there's a lot of great fiction that came out after the year 2000. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
Cormac McCarthy, most of his great novels came out after the year 2000. All right. Roberto Bolaño, all right, who wrote 2666 and The Savage Detectives, came out after the 2000s. Okay. If you've never read Savage Detectives or 2666, they're fantastic novels. They're masterpieces, right? Tons of Haruki Murakami's work came out after the 2000s. Right. And I love Haruki Murakami, and I can guarantee you Haruki Murakami is better than any crap that she writes. All right. Michelle Houellebecq is probably the best writer out there, living right now after Cormac McCarthy died. And tons of his books came out after the year 2000. So let's just, you're just lazy. You read Dostoevsky in high school because your teachers made you, but you haven't followed the literary scene at all. That's what you are, right? And you're basically selling your tripe to fucking boomers that think that like big thick books from the 19th century are the peak of literature. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. And you're a grifter, and I'm done talking about you.
And we're moving on.
We're moving on. All right. So Let's talk about the dinner goth. All right.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to Dracula's Waffle Castle.
Dracula.
Right.
Yes. Our an hour and 15 minutes in. It's now time for our main topic.
Our main topic, Dracula's
We'll give it about
Waffle
30
Castle.
seconds and have a good night. All right. See you guys. No.
All right.
We're not.
There we
we're not
go.
done.
I used my favorite Dracula in the picture.
Oh,
All right.
dude, 100%. I saw that. Fantastic.
He's all there. I will have
Great.
the waffle.
Spectacular Dracula. We watched that recently. Did I tell you? That was only like
It's because it has your girl in it
a couple months
At
ago.
her-
Well, obviously. Yeah,
at her
I mean,
peak.
Winona Ryder is on my short list of if in film we'll watch. Like I don't care how bad it is, we'll watch. Yeah, he was a great Dracula, man. Such a good time.
Yeah, I saw that when I was a kid. My mom and dad took me to see it in theater, and I was like way too young for it, I think. But I loved it.
Boy.
And I was obsessed with it. You know,
Anthony
uh,
low key Anthony Hopkins as what's the vampire killer's name? Van Helsing.
and Helsing,
Dude,
yeah.
he was off the chain. Just the dude is just loving life. He's like, I kill vampires. I'm a dude that just runs around and kills vampire, and he's just loving life. I mean, it was just.
Have you seen the new Nosferatu?
I haven't yet. I want to, but hold on. I need to do more Anthony Hopkins appreciation when he's running around doing all the Catholic stuff, like throwing holy water at everybody, like the crosses and all. It's just, I felt that, man, deep in my soul. You know what? That's how I feel when I tell someone "shut up, retard." It's channeling Van Helsing. That's what it is. But no, yeah, the new Nosferatu. I'll put it on the list. Because you really liked it, right?
I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was
all right.
amazing. I thought.
Okay.
I think all his movies are all right. I have not seen.
Worth watching.
It's worth watching. They do a really
Okay,
good
fair
job with
enough.
like the different dialects of like Romanian and stuff, and like Gypsy
Oh, that's fun.
Romanian, and like they like use like an old like proto Romanian like Dacian language, which is kind of interesting. It's I don't think it's as good as Bram Stoker's Dracula for Dracula. You know, like it kind of misses the mark. I think that Bram Stoker's
And-
Dracula it is more of a maximalist mess, and it's got
It's somehow it carries the performance that Keanu Reeves turned in. Where it's just Keanu Reeves being Keanu Reeves, but kind of confused.
yeah, it's like
And
absurd
it's
and like
it's just
completely
it-
retarded. Yeah.
It's adorable. It's innocent. It's just look at his pretty face. Van Helsing's gonna murder some bitches. We'll be right back. Like,
Yeah, and it's got
perfect,
Winona
done,
Ryder.
sold. Just
Yeah,
go.
so yeah, it's good. There's a new Dracula movie, and that's the one that's like the French one that came out. I have not seen it yet. I've been meaning to see it.
Oh no, it's gonna be gay.
It looks pretty cool. I think he like has like smell. Has anybody in the chat seen the new Dracula? It's like the French one. There's a bunch
The
of
French
memes all over.
Dracula,
Like,
yes.
there's a bunch of memes all over the internet about it, and he's like,
Le Dracula.
I have traveled through time to see you.
Le Dracula
It's just-
baguette.
Yeah, it's all like meh, meh. Just like the new Frankenstein. Lisa liked the new Frankenstein.
Did she?
Not the
Okay.
Lisa we don't. Our Lisa liked
Yeah,
the new Frankenstein.
the good Lisa. The good Lisa.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
The Lisa with impeccable taste.
I have like no time to watch movies, man. Like I watch like kids movies and anime stuff now because I can watch it with my daughter. So like
you
anything
go.
that's like I'm like I'm not watching Dracula with her. Okay,
Real
It's
quick.
like, "Ugh."
You got me thinking of Bram Stoker's Dracula again. That's one of those movies that struck me as everyone had a great time making this movie. It's
Right.
just- it just feels like everyone's like this is fucking bonkers, man. We're having everyone's having a great time. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. And I love films like that where you could just tell like it's just this is why you get up in the morning, man. Like we're making cool shit. We're making cool shit and it's gonna be ridiculous and people are gonna pay money for it and it's gonna be great. Like just let's go. Anyway, all right, rant over.
All right. So everybody on the internet was talking about this article, and it was an
Everybody.
article in
Everybody.
it was everywhere. It's an essay in the New Atlantis, which is like I don't know some publication, and it's written by this. It's called American Diner Gothic. I keep on saying dinner, but it's Diner Gothic, and it's about. It's written by this guy named Robert Mariani. I don't know who he is, but he seems like a tech bro, kind of like a tech bro. Lisa Libes type guy, to be honest. And the article itself is not that interesting. Okay. Like the article itself is kind of like kind of a circle jerk of like, I had a goth girlfriend, blah blah. But he does identify something very interesting about the diner goth, right? And it's something that I myself have noticed living out here in South Carolina, somebody that used to be into a lot of like the goth subculture stuff, going to clubs and that type of thing, that there is in the last, decade or so, I have, the author and myself also noticed that there's this kind of subculture of people, and they're everywhere in America, that he refers to as the diner goths. And he uses that word diner to kind of like illustrate like provincialism.
Yeah.
And he uses the word goth, not really as in like goth, but it's more he's using it to kind of identify like alternative lifestyles, right? So what he's talking about in the article, and I shared it in the chat real fast, is that he's noticed that there's a subculture of people that is a subculture without a culture. That it is a subculture that is really, I think a better term for them wouldn't be diner goth, it'd be Discord goth, right? Because when we were growing up and there was like goths and punks and that kind of stuff, those people tended to like kind of have to work for it. They were part of like they went out of their way to like, learn about the bands and do this kind of stuff and go to the
Right.
clubs and but
There was
now,
homework. There was homework to be done.
right, there's a subculture of people, and it's not even a subculture, it's almost a mainstream thing where everywhere you go, you're like, you can go to and you can go down in a Waffle House, and there's probably some like white girl wearing like an anime t-shirt, and she might have like black lipstick in, or she's wearing like a metal shirt or something like that. And it's all these signifiers of past subcultures that have become kind of a Discord subculture. And it, I mean, his kind of little like essay kind of points to the fact that it has to do with a disenfranchisement of the youth culture, a complete dissemination of the online world onto the real space, a lack of local identity, like. And it's interesting because you'll be in like the deep south somewhere in the most conservative place, and then there's like, some transgender person working at Waffle House, and it's whatever, no big deal, and then you'll walk to the store and you walk to the DMV, and I shit you not, I went to go pay my car taxes at the local tax assessor the other day, and the basic generic girl that was behind a computer at the tax assessor, right, had like a bunch of like little anime figurines and little like weird like goth stuff on her computer, and that's stuff that like you'd never see back in the day. So there's this weird like kind of online subculture that uses like consumerist subculture signifiers, and there's like a weird kind of downwardly mobile middle class vibe to it, right? And he identifies that in the article, kind of in an asshole way. But I thought, like, yeah, I noticed it. I'm sure you've noticed it. I'm sure all the listeners have noticed it. I'm sure some of the listeners are kind of part of this subculture. I mean, for the most part, like, I recognize a lot of the signifiers, like the anime jokes and that kind of stuff. And that's something that in our generation growing up would just not exist, right? Now, Default Friend kind of wrote a reply to it, and it was a really good reply, but she paywalled it, and so I don't have it saved anywhere. And she says like, no, it's always been that way, and it's always been like the whole kind of like diner goth scene has always existed in the peripheries of American culture. And what he's really referring to, and he's just not cool enough to know, is that they're basically Hot Topic goths, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Hot Topic goths, right? And how Hot Topic was really a Midwestern Florida thing as opposed to a Los Angeles, New York thing. It's basically Hot Topic sold Los Angeles, New York culture, or like subculture, in London subculture, like punk goth and that type of stuff, and sold it to the Midwest and consumerized
Right.
it, and made it
Yes.
a mall aesthetic.
Yep.
And
Hey, you can buy it at the mall.
right. So what do you think? I kind of like, I think I challenged you because I wanted you to kind of let me know what you thought about that, because you're a Midwest, like, look, the goth subculture thing, the punk subculture thing, that was like pretty big growing up for me, but I grew up in Los Angeles. So it wasn't, for the most part, it wasn't downwardly mobile indicative, and it was quickly replaced by hipster culture. in Los Angeles. So like, and then like scenester culture, which was like, like the parted hair, the flannel, and that whole like listening to the yeahs and the ting tings and that type of stuff. So by the time like I was a young adult, being like into like wearing like metal shirts and like baggy pants and that kind of thing, or like anime stuff, was kind of considered kind of dorky and loserish already. You're already like into like you know that like hipster aesthetic in Los Angeles. And I think that when I moved to the South, I was like, wow, there's a lot of people that look like how I used to dress in middle school, but they're adults. So what did you think about the article, man?
Um, I think it was directionally correct. Uh, and I very much agreed with what I was able to read with Catherine D's article. I've actually followed her for a couple of years, ever since she got into Substack, and I find her work very interesting, kind of as a digital anthropologist. Um, so her point that really the internet has been spreading this or amplifying it, especially when the internet has gutted so much of culture. This is what's rushing to fill the void, right? And something is always going to rush in and fill the void. So I think all of that was, generally speaking, it's directionally correct. Um, D, I think, sees the larger context, and I think ultimately she's correct. Speaking as born and raised Cleveland, Ohio, I am as Midwestern Ohio white guy as they get. Uh, I've eaten in all of those diners. I've been friends with many of those Goths, and I've even had some, you know, long-term relationships with said diner Goth. And looking back as like a Midwestern provincialer, uh, you found out somebody shot that Hot Topic, and you went, I could probably get laid. It was shorthand for cosmopolitan. Which, if that sounds pathetic, well, yeah, it is. We're all from Cleveland, Ohio. Give me a break. Um, but yeah, it looking from inside that, yeah, that's about right. Um, the thing that I think I would add to it, and this is that digital cosmology thing that I've been talking about with you. Um, I think we live in an information age, and the information age is based on information. That's the geography. That's the land, so to speak, that gets worked and gets tilled. And I think Diner Goth is an example of the kind of person. I've been using this word lately, data cattle. Data cattle are the people that work. Data cattle are the people that work the land of the information age, and they are harvested for meat. They're harvested for milk. They're harvested for data. And I think Diner Goths are directionally downward, as in they are getting deep into the digital information age. They are captured in a way that is deeply unhealthy and deeply bad, and the kind of thing that should be discouraged and the kind of thing that should be avoided.
Right.
I keep thinking of someone that I know through the theater here. She's 19 years old, very bright, um, you know, tattooed in the way and kind of aloof in the way that attractive diner goths are. And she's chronically online, um, connected to Discord always has a video chat going, and considers Chat GPT their best friend. This is a person that is going to get plugged into the batteries and power the matrix once the machine is done doing whatever it is it's doing. You know.
Right.
So I guess in my own mind, again, it's directionally correct. I think D nails it very much so, and I think it is indicative of a larger trend. These are the kinds of things. These are the kinds of relationships with technology. The kind of social structure that is going to be encouraged and I'm going to pull out McLuhan here real quick, as the digital extensions of man expand and the digital extensions of man develop. This is going to be what the zombies look like, partially, or a particular brand of maybe early zombie. They're not totally gone yet, but I really don't like the direction it's headed.
No,
So
I agree with you.
that's what I think. And especially with it being downwardly mobile economically, like in that cosmology, I don't know if you have that picture that I drew, but like
And
as you become less connected to the real and become more connected to the virtual, it is not only downwardly mobile socially, economically, but spiritually. And any Christian worth half their salt knows which direction down is.
right.
I've been rereading Screw Tape Letters recently, and at the end of it, they have Screw Tape proposes a toast. And one of the things that Lewis does is identifies that the demons have gotten to the point, and this is Screw Tape's toast, they've gotten to the point where the food they collect from humanity, the food they collect from the data cattle, isn't particularly good. It isn't particularly, you know, there's no real delicacy to it. But no one goes. Everyone leaves with a full belly now, you know, and that's something to be from the demonic perspective. That's something to be celebrated because none of the demons are going to go hungry anymore. It's not very good, but the starving days are over, I think is something that he says in that speech. And this is what all of that reminds me of. It makes me think of data cattle.
Well, right. And you know, in the article, you know, he does kind of come off as an asshole, and you know, he himself is just a different variation of it. He's just a tech bro cattle, basically. Maybe
he is he's the kind of hick, he's the kind of data hick that goes out to the barn and fucks the cattle. That's what he is. I mean, he even admits it in the article. He was fond of her, you know. It's like, dude, and that's what these people are going to become. They're going to become, what's the word I'm looking for? Digital harem.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is.
And the thing I didn't like about so I don't, in a way that the term diner goth is pretty good, but it's also bad because it makes you focus on like kind of the goth, immediately gives you the goth sub, you know, like, you know, kind of theme and stuff, right? And what's very interesting is that back in the late 90s, 2000s, when I was graduating high school and stuff, you know, the whole goth scene was very much, at least in like where I grew up, it was pretty dead for the most part. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like the 80s with like Robert Smith and the Susie Sue running around, you know. I gotta sneeze, give me a second.
Gesundheit, sir.
I like fake sneeze. But no, it was, I mean, it was like disconnected, but there's a few clubs, and there was an equal part male and female reaction to it. Now, there's no, like, I don't know, like, do people still go to goth clubs? I don't think those exist anymore for the most part, right? It's no longer about the music. It's become very disconnected from like in a way, like all these like subcultures are strictly about consumerism and self-image. And the sad part is, you look online and you look at all these, like, you know, like e-goth thoughts and stuff and all this stuff, but there's never any like goth music, right? And this is like a scene that was all about the music, right? It was all about, you know, The Cure and Bauhaus and, you know, Susie and the Banshees and the Sisters of Mercy and all these bands, but nobody listens to the music anymore. They just put on the aesthetic. It's almost like a skin suit, and you know nobody listens to the music because there's no dudes in the scenes anymore. You rarely ever see like a goth dude, right?
Yeah.
And back in the day, like 20 years ago, there was tons of goth dudes around, you know. But now it's all chicks online, Instagramming, right? And it's the same thing with a lot of this like anime type stuff, and it's the outward presentation of it is like a female thing, and the guys that are into it are like privately, right? But I think what's going on is that there's a complete and total cultural collapse, that there is nothing left. There's no,
right,
you know, there's people aren't going to church. There's no community. There's nothing to connect. There's nothing. Everything has become so consumerist. So there's no like local identity. Like there's no, you know, there's no down south culture or something culture or like bar culture. It's all pretty much gone. And it's a bunch of people, especially in these like nowhere land, Midwest, the between the coast kind of places, right? And I live somewhere that actually has a decent amount of culture, but still a coastal, right? And but you go inland to, like, I don't know, probably Oklahoma and stuff, and it's just like, what is the culture there now? And it's all performative. It's all performative, and it's all consumer. Like, you walk into, you go to Target, like go to Target or to Walmart, and you go to like the clothing section, the men's clothing section, and it's all like band t-shirts. It looks like Hot Topic used to, like back in the 90s. Do you remember in Hot Topic there used to be like that wall of t-shirts, like band
Yeah.
shirts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Target looks like now. You'll
Yeah.
go in there and there's like a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, like a Nirvana t-shirt. There's all these
Yeah. It's all been
like
pushed out.
Guns N' Roses, and then there's a bunch of like 80s movie references, like Ghostbuster t-shirts, and stuff that, like, the people that are buying this stuff are way too young for them, so they're aimed at people like our age, or people trying to kind of like find a kind of a cultural identity. And it's all like the whole thing's a skin suit thing, and it definitely
Yeah.
has an absolutely downward mobile type of thing, right? And it's kind of depressing, it's like it's like a nowhere culture, right? It's a nowhere culture for nobody. And it's like, how do we fix that,
Yeah. I don't know. It's the Walmarting of culture.
right?
The way
And
Walmart, slaughtered the stores and slaughtered all the mom and pop places.
right. And in a default friend in Dee's article, she talks about how, like, that always existed. These like peripheral fringe people. We all had, growing up in high school, middle school, we all had that weird kid whose like parents were kind of like whatever and smoked a lot of cigarettes, and they were into like weird metal, or all that kind of weird stuff. And we went to their house, and it's probably the guy that like introduced you to like Dungeons and Dragons, or the weird stuff. They probably smoked weed with them because their
Hold
parents
on, hold on.
didn't care.
Back up the truck real quick. Is it possible that this diner goth stuff is the only culture that's left, and now it's being co-opted by the machine, and that's why you're
Probably,
seeing it pushed out into Target, pushed out into Walmart, and eventually it'll go away as well. It'll it'll
probably.
it'll it'll morph into the non-monoculture, or the monoculture, the the anti-culture monoculture. Just you
Yeah,
exist and you consume.
but it's already been co-opted already, because the whole geek culture thing and the whole video gamer culture thing that got co-opted like 12, 15 years ago,
Yeah,
with
it's all
like,
gone and ruined. Yeah, there's no original creativity in any of that anymore.
yeah, with the geek culture stuff, like, like the Sheldon thing and all that stuff,
Yeah,
that, like, that all got co-opted. And and the Disney adults, right? Like, there was no
right.
Disney adults when we were growing up. Like, there's no such thing as like an adult that decked themselves out in Disney stuff. It's almost like really weird. And I mean, is that wrong? Is it wrong to like be into stuff?
Well, I think, I think what we're seeing is the hollowing out of beauty for, it. You make more money with cheap dopamine hits, so you gotta
Right.
you gotta hollow out, co-opt, and assimilate anything and everything that approaches beauty, because those direct you upward. They direct you in a reactionary way, and the machine is forever down, 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 down. So it's like it's a black hole. It's a black hole in space time, and it's got to suck everything down into it till it is well, you know, whatever passes the once you pass the event horizon, right? You're just,
Right.
what are you at that point? It doesn't matter. You're in the black hole. That's all it cares. It's
Right.
very much to go back to the screw tape thing. It's very much the hunger of hell, man. It's the hunger of hell, because hell can't hell doesn't sustain itself. Hell doesn't have the source. Hell has been cast away from the source, and all it can do is corrupt what the creator has made and feed on it. It's very vampiric.
Right.
Dracula's Waffle Castle. We are witnessing we are witnessing the birth of Dracula's Wendy's, not Wendy's, Dracula Denny's. That's what we're witnessing, and it's not for us. We're the menu. You know,
Right.
we're
Right.
we're
Well,
the entree, brother.
yeah, we're the people on, you know, we've become the people on the edge because in a lack of culture, there's like a, like the subculture has become the culture in a way. There's a complete lack of culture, and there's people that just completely disengaged. You know, your boomer crowd, your you know, some Gen Xers and stuff, they're just completely disengaged. You know, but now there's a young culture, probably Gen Zers or, you know, younger millennials that have basically it's almost like they've just said fuck it, you know, like I don't care
Yeah,
anymore, you know, I'm just going to, like, I'm not going to be able to afford rent, I'm not going to be able to afford a house, you know, there's nowhere to meet girls because all the bars are closed, they closed during COVID, there's nothing to do. I can't go to concerts. Have you ever looked at how much a concert costs? I think I paid 40
oh yeah,
bucks to see Pearl Jam, like decent seats to see Pearl Jam back in like 2004, and now I think like a your average concert is like $300-400, right, for like a
yeah.
ticket.
We saw tickets. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, or this is what you're talking about. You know, we saw tickets for Rush, and it's like $400 for the cheap seats, and I'm like, why would I go see Neil Peart died, and you're charging me $400? Seriously? Like,
Right,
what
right.
is it's a skin suit.
So what do young people do? Like, I remember I used to be able to save up money and I'd drive up to like Hollywood and go see bands for like 20 bucks, and there were like good bands coming through Hollywood, and or
Yeah,
like when the big bands came around, we saved up a bit more money and like we bought tickets the day they came out and we'd go see a concert, and there, you know, there's all this stuff to do. But like now this new generation, like I think one of my young friends, I think he went and saw Metallica, and I think he like spent like $300 per ticket or something on Metallica. I'm like, and like, or Creed, or he saw Creed and he spent like that much money on Creed, and I was like, for real, bro, you're like 21 years old and you spent $300 on Creed? Like, I wouldn't like I couldn't get, if you paid me $300, I wouldn't have gone seen Creed back when I was like your age, you know, when they were like at their peak. And it's interesting because, like, what is there to do but become a Discord zombie, right? Like, you know, there's no bars, and even if there are bars, like I went out drinking with my buddy, and you know, I live in South Carolina, guys. I'm not in like Manhattan, and like drinking in like my, you know, small kind of, I do live in kind of like a bougier like resort kind of area, but like it's still not like Manhattan. It's not like Hollywood, right? And I think I spent like $150 drinking, you know, and I was like drinking like Bud Light for the most part, right? Where you're like dropping $8 on a Bud Light, and it's like, dude, like how can people afford to do this? I mean, I used to be able to go out and drink for like 20 bucks, and I drank like, you know, 20 bucks was like 20 PBRs back in Long Beach back in like 2010, right? And,
yeah,
and it's wild, right? Like there's no places, everything was filled with like geezers. So and I was like, why is there so many geezers everywhere? And then I realized the young people can't afford to be here. You know, they can't
yeah,
afford to drop $10 on a Bud Light, you know, and they're at home
yeah,
on Discord and, you know, watching anime while they're on Discord talking to their friends. And it's because our culture has completely abandoned younger people, and there's no options for them to do anything. There's no like third spaces anymore whatsoever. There's really just nothing. So everybody lives in on Discord. Everybody lives on anime.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with anime. I like anime too. You know, I enjoy it. I watch it with my daughter, but not like when I was 20, which is the interesting part. You know,
Here's a question. Here's a question. So, is it? I mean, it's definitely that the young can't afford to go out. The young can't afford to do these kinds of things. Um, but I mean, the old folks that are out there, and you know, all the old timers that are buying these beers. I mean, this is the world they wanted, and this is the world that they created.
right?
And the young can't afford it, but would the young even want to afford it? I mean, is it a rejection?
Probably not.
Because I mean, the boomers
I
don't
think
watch
so.
anime. They're not going to watch anime. They're not going to get on Discord. Like, it's have the young set up structures to stay away from the vampires? Is it not? Is it not maybe downward? I mean, it is downwardly mobile, but downwardly mobile from what? The dumb shit that the boomers created.
Yeah,
So
downward
is it?
mobile from Margaritaville. It's a
Yeah,
maybe it's a
right. Okay.
rejection
Well,
of Margaritaville.
it sounds like it's upwardly. It sounds like spiritually, it might be upwardly mobile because you're getting
Right.
pulled out of the decadence. You're getting pulled out of the bullshit. You're getting pulled out of the empty promises that you're going to live forever in Margaritaville and spend $60 on a PPR, and you can afford it because it's a good thing you invested. It's a good thing you mortgaged the. It's a good thing you mortgaged your inheritance, right? It's
Right.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I mean, it's
instead of spending $80 going on a Friday night, and I'm just gonna meet up with my friends, and I'm not even gonna meet up with my friends. I'm gonna go home and watch Demon Slayer while talking to people on Discord. So I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe that is a good thing. I
Well,
mean, hey
think about
man,
it in your own
we're
stuff. Like you
podcasting, right?
said, you've been watching anime, you've been watching cartoons with your daughter, you've been hanging out with your family.
Right.
Oh darn. You know what I mean? Or like me, like our social life now is going to church because it's what we can afford. But it's actually pretty great.
Right.
Hold on.
It's
So maybe
actually
this
saved
is
me a lot of money.
yeah, well, and I mean it's not just saved you a lot of money, but it's also directed you to something real, something lasting, and something that the boomer
Right.
mind can simply not comprehend. So, is it negative? Or is it simply
No, you're right. You're
is it
right.
simply a John the Baptist preparing the way?
Um, like maybe,
I don't know.
maybe in a way, like it's a rejection of. I mean, what was the original anti-cultures? Like punk. Punk was a bunch of people in England that were not just downwardly mobile; they're just downward.
Yeah,
There was no hope. This is during the austerity era of England, and they had basically they were lower class. They had no future. They had no plans. There was nothing. Like they were living in those I forgot what projects are called in England, council homes or whatever,
yeah,
and they just said, "Fuck it." We're going to reject the there's no room for us left in the Shire, my dudes. And they shaved their heads and put on Doc Martens and were angry at it. And they kind of
yeah,
created art from that rejection of they were ultimately rejected by the Shire, right? And
yeah,
well, basically Saruman took over the Shire
yeah.
and
Right.
kicked them out, right? And in a way, like maybe a complete hollowing out and death of the American mainstream, of the American culture, the American, like there's no American dream. The American dream is just dead for a lot of people, right? It's the American dream is dead for Gen Zers. It's dead for everybody, even young millennials. So if the American dream is dead, well, shit, give me that Pikachu, give me that Pikachu, and I'm going to escape into a world of video games, and I'm going to find identity in, like alternative sexuality, like the whole trans thing and the whole, and I get it, man. I get it. Right. Like,
Well,
you
it strikes me that we've got to go away and make it all up again.
right.
And it's funny to think of it that way, but the trans stuff is horrible. The whole post enlightenment, postmodern. I can dream anything I want, but maybe that's what's needed to get out of it
Right.
because it
Right.
opens up the potential. At least
Because
the
when you,
rejection of the boomerisms.
right. Well, when you have no hope for ever, buying a house or doing anything, well, what can you control except your own body, right? Your own, kind of cartoonification of yourself, right?
Right.
Give me a second. I gotta
I'm
take
going
it
to
up.
turn myself into something, and I'm not going to let this hellscape suck my blood, suck me dry.
Yeah, so that I think there's something to be said. I think there's something to look at, and I think
Yeah.
that the article itself, while it might not be a great article, and I think Dee's response to it was much better than the actual article itself. I
I
think
agree.
that it did start a interesting thought process, and like I said, something that I've noticed, and I've noticed that, more and more of what we would consider alt culture becoming mainstream around me, and it's funny because I was driving. I was sitting at Starbucks when I read that, and when I sent it to you last week, and I'm driving back, and there was these teenagers like playing on the playground, which is like what teenagers do, and they
Yeah.
all were like wearing anime shirts, like goth kind of like anime shirts, with like goth looking anime girls on it, and they all had like green hair and stuff, and I was like, that's so funny, like it's interesting. I mean, around here we have like there's a lot of people that are like closer to our age that would be best described as the diner gays, right?
Yeah.
And they're really interesting. They're interesting. They're interesting because I when you talk to them, like they have this like online gay personality, which is very much like it's like 1990s in their imaginary world, where like they're like, oh yeah, and then we're like, there's like just no nobody accepts us, and like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It's 2026. You know what I mean? It's like they're like they're like LARPing, living in the 80s in like the deep south, when like really like, where they're like, oh, I'm like, this is a military town, guys. Like 60% of like the military is gay themselves. You know what I mean? Like, have you
And it's
met
all in the Navy.
it's the
Just kidding.
Marines. The Marines are actually more gayer than the Navy.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, have you, if like 50%, if you see a female in the Marines, 50% chance she's a lesbian, and there's a lot of them, right? And there's a significant, and it's like something that like it's like, it's funny to me coming from California, because I find it really quaint, because I'm like, oh, you're so cute. You're like LARPing like before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
like, it's like their fantasy is that they're like in this pre-Obama era, that they're like in the like mid to late 90s, or the Bush era, and it's like, dude, you're not. Even like the biggest like hillbilly southerner down here is not going to call you like a slur, because they don't care, because they're like, they're just, it's just become a norm of American culture, and so it's like really interesting. But yeah, they're in a way that they're the same thing. They've like latched onto this cultural like signifiers that are kind of like behind the times and quaint, in the same way like, you know contemporary punks are like, bro, that's from like 1980. Like, all that stuff came out before you were born, like, all that stuff came out before I was born, and I'm an old guy, so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I think that you're probably going to start noticing, and there's definitely a low class element to it, like, all right, people are going to get mad at me right now. What would you say? I'm going to offend people. Are you guys ready to get offended?
Absolutely.
Some people are like into things, right? And some people are into Disney things. There's a certain like Disney movie and like merchandise that like people wear, that are always like identify with like white trash people, or like ghetto people, like poor people. Like, if you wear a lot of this stuff, or like if this is like your favorite Disney movie, I just immediately assume you're like poor and live in a trailer of some sort. All right. Can you guess what movie?
No.
Can anybody in the chat guess? Because there's one that as soon as I see, if for some reason all the really like poor white trashy people really love this Disney movie, and I immediately like, yes, absolutely. Mia
No.
guessed it. Yes, Lilo and Stitch,
Whew.
right?
That's good.
What is it about poor white trash people that like that movie?
You want to hear what's funny? I just
Yeah.
watched it for the first time literally last week, and it was all right. It was
No,
it was
it's
okay.
an all right movie. I don't like it
Yeah,
at all.
it was like, oh, I'm glad I
But
saw it. you know,
there's like out of
but I
all
don't
like
make,
the
yeah, I don't make my whole personality that. I mean, I guess it's, I guess it's Lilo's life sucks and she's about to get taken away by child services, but at least she lives in
maybe
Hawaii. So maybe if I LARP as
right.
Lilo, I too will turn my world into Hawaii.
But I want you to pay attention, okay?
Man,
And
that's
maybe
funny.
I'm like a crazy person, right? But like,
Oh no, you're instinctually correct. The moment I saw the movie pop up in chat, I went, my heart seized. And I went, oh no.
right, there's like something about that movie, its art style, its like decoration that's so diner goth, like it's exactly like
Peak diner
you know
goth.
it is like there's something like it's like the diner Disney adult and like the most white trash person. It's like Lilo and Stitch is like the ICP of like Disney stuff, right? Like there's like this like weird, it's like the kind of person that likes Lilo and Stitch also likes the WWF and probably ICP. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just there's something about it, and like once you realize this, you're never gonna unsee it. And everybody that's listening, you're gonna see like people, and it's like you're gonna see like kids wearing Lilo and Stitch stuff, and you'd be like, that's the poor kid, right? Like my daughter likes Lilo and Stitch, and I'm like, you're not buying Lilo and Stitch stuff because that's like poor people coded. Like
That's funny.
you're getting 101 Dalmatians Corella Deville stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the rich people Disney movie?
The rich people Disney movie.
Uh,
I no, it's more. Wouldn't it be like no? It's Hamilton. I'm
yeah, well,
just
yeah,
kidding,
Hamilton,
though.
yeah,
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 it's not gonna. It's gonna be something like Broadway, or it's gonna be
yeah.
something Yeah, it's Hamilton, but not like Hamilton is in like you actually have had to have bought tickets and seen it on Broadway with like Michelle, with Michelle Obama or something.
Right.
That's probably what it is, because then it makes you insufferably woke and stupid.
Right. I think
Which
like
is
the super geek person, like super well, if you're like really into Peter Pan, it's like kind of a pedophile thing. To me, it has like a weird pedo vibe to it. People really like the people that really like that movie are really weird, I think. And then there's like the Hook movie with what's his name? With
Robin Williams.
Williams, right? And I feel like I really used to like that movie when I was a little kid, and I watched it like a few years ago with my daughter, and I'm like, this is a horrible movie. Like it was like painful to watch. I did not like it at all, like watching it like as an adult. But yeah, there's like certain like signifiers of like downward mobility and poverty when it comes to culture, and the 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 diner goth thing is exactly that, right? Like it's people that wear like the hot pink colors and stuff. That's I don't know, those are poverty colors. That's what my wife calls them. She goes, those are poverty colors. So she like never like buys like our daughter anything that's like hot pink. You know what I'm talking about? There's like this weird neon pink color
Yeah.
that like
Ooh, ooh.
it's like
Like
a
the
poverty.
tracksuit neon pink.
Yeah, it's like a poverty color. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know why like I identify it's like actually our logo has that hot pink kind of to it. And I actually did
Oh
that.
yeah. That's what
I did
yeah.
it on
That's
purpose, right?
exactly it.
But
Yeah.
it has like if your kid's wearing that, like you're probably poor. I don't know. It's
If
like
your kid's
stupid.
wearing that, you're probably poor.
It's like it's stupid, right? But like I don't know why my mind like automatically like does that, And
Well,
it's
it's your aristocratic Romanianness. That's
yeah,
what
it's
it
like oh
is.
my god, you're wearing
It's
a,
your
a
Carpathian noble blood.
you're wearing a hot pink like Lilo and Stitch thing, probably a gypsy, like it's like you're probably like some kind of gypsy hood rat, um but yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, like metal band shirts, right? Like the girl that's going to get murdered in the movie is basically wearing like the oversized baggy like metal shirt with like some kind of ratty jeans and a hoodie, like or like the hoodie always wearing the baggy hoodie kind of like a kind of look. And it's like you probably like come from a family that beats you, those are all like negative signifiers, right? There was a show, right? There's a show I watched maybe like 2 years ago called Mar of Easttown, right? And it's a really good show. It's like it was on. It's an HBO show, and there's only one season, and it's I think it's like the spiritual successor to True Detective, and it's the main character is a female detective, and it's played by Kate Winslet, which is really interesting because she's like Australian, I think, but she does a really good Pennsylvania accent. And it's a small town cop. She's a small town sheriff in Pennsylvania, and there's this this murder. And what's interesting about the show is that the murder doesn't happen until like the second episode or something like that, right? If I remember correctly. And
Yeah.
right away you know who gets murdered. Well, you don't know. Okay, you don't know like the first episode or so, and the first maybe 2 episodes, you're kind of on edge on like who's getting killed, right? And you have to kind of guess. You're like, is it this person gonna get killed? Is it this person gonna get killed, right? And I guessed right away who got killed, right? And the reason I guessed right away who got killed was because of the clothes she was wearing. And she wore like oversized pink clothes, right? She was poverty victim, like her
Yeah.
clothes were like very poverty victim like coded. And I
Yeah.
told my wife, I'm like, oh, she's gonna
The
get
cattle.
killed. Yeah, exactly. She's gonna get killed. And my wife's like, no, she's like, you're absolutely right. Like, she's like, because she looks like a poor girl, right? And of course, victims take it, like criminals and like murderers and stuff take advantage of like the poor girls with the bad
Right,
families
of
and that kind of
course.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
That's what they're for.
you know
That's what they're for.
and that's what in Dee's article she said it. She put it so well because I knew those girls, like growing up, like the girls that obviously came from the crappy family, and obviously like their dad was probably a bum or their mom was a junkie, and like was probably like had like 10 boyfriends, and like that kind of like white trash kind of thing. And
Yeah.
those were the kind of girls that like you know adopted this like diner goth thing going on,
Yeah.
but it was never like it was never club goth, right? It was never like real goth, like the goth
Right.
like at the club, because that's expensive, and none of these people can afford like a $300 pair of Doc Martens, right? These are the people that like, it was more like Hot Topic band shirt that was ripped and
Right.
overworn, and do you guys remember those like little jelly wristbands that everybody used to wear?
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Right. Those are poverty coded to me too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the kind of girls that like, whose like dads like smacked them around, like that's the kind of people that wore them, and oh yeah, Mia and Mara was like,
Cookie
that's
Monster.
absolutely Cookie Monster stuff. Yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff that's like really weird, like poverty coded, and I don't know why. I don't understand why. From a literary standpoint, that makes sense, right? Like we need to kind of figure out what makes them. I'm not really sure what makes Lilo and Stitch and Cookie Monster and Hot Pink poverty downwardly mobile coded. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure why. Like why does Lilo and Stitch is it poverty coded? But like for example, like I don't know, Robin Hood and Disney is not poverty coded, right? Like there's like this interesting like thing, and I wonder if it's like intentional. Like it's like little boys that wear like Toy Story stuff. They're always grubby to me. Like there's something grubby about Toy Story, right? About like you always see, like this grubby kid with like a Buzz Lightyear thing. You're like, it's a grubby kid,
Well, if you think of the machine as the machine is successful if it makes money, it's going to optimize for whatever sells, and that stuff just happens to sell. So be it. Like throw shit at the wall, Cookie Monster, Bright Pink, and Lilo and Stitch stuck. All right, roll out the action figures, ship it. It's
Right.
probably nothing. It's probably nothing more complicated than that.
Right, I think so. I'm gonna post you a picture of this because this is interesting from a writing standpoint and a visual art standpoint. How you can image code. I'm gonna spoil who gets killed in Marvy's town. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil who's the killer, but I'm sorry guys ahead of time. I do recommend you watch this show, but I'm gonna post this picture. All right, and tell me when it comes up.
Okay.
All right. So I think it's very interesting from a exactly the medium is the message, right? You said it right.
Yeah. Well, I've got one more thought. What they buy is less important than that they buy.
Right. All right. Do you see it?
Not yet. Not yet. Still not up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mia. I've been on a McLuhan kick. I've been reading Understanding Media for the first time, and I'm taking it slow. It's hitting me like Umis will. It's hitting me like
Uh,
Umis will did. So I'm
yeah.
taking my time.
I mean,
But
McLuhan is
man,
great.
what a fucking book, dude. Holy shit. Oh,
Tell me if you see the picture.
yeah. Picture of the young girl.
Yep.
The PJs.
The second I saw her shirt, I knew she was going to die. I don't know why. It's the shirt. It telegraphed it, right? I knew she was going to be the victim, right? There was like something like they did this perfectly, and I've been thinking about it for like 2 years now, right? Like, what is it about this shirt that made me know exactly? And it's not just her shirt; it's her pants and like kind of what she wears. She wears different outfits throughout the show in the first season and stuff, or the first episode. But I was like, man, she's so dead. And I told my wife, I was like, man, that's who's gonna die, 100%. And I knew it because I knew this girl in real life, right? Like, there's something like low coded, like victim coded about her, right? About her outfit and everything. And it's so interesting that like you can do that in like art, right? Like you can kind of,
Yeah.
explain that in art that you can't do, it's a visual medium, but you can do that in like, in writing too, where you can code things like, I don't know, describe somebody with a Lilo and Stitch shirt for that. I don't know, right? But it's so interesting, right? Like why things are, and I think that's what the guy that wrote the Diner Goth article is kind of catching about these people, that there's this weird kind of like cultural nowhereness that exists like in in our current like milieu of life,
Mm-hmm.
All right. So before we call it a night, besides McLuhan, you reading anything else? I know you're reading Chekhov. Tell me about
Yeah, I got
Chekhov.
Chekhov. Yeah, Chekhov's been going really good in class. I've been enjoying it. I think I might have hooked a few people on it.
Ms. Liebs would be very proud of you for reading Chekhov.
Well, I mean, he wrote a lot of short stories because he was a short story writer, and that makes me very educated.
That you're very educated.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do enjoy the fact that I'm hooking 15-year-olds on Chekhov as opposed to whatever slop they typically shovel out on them. Very much a ask permission, not or ask forgiveness, not permission kind of situation. But it's been a very enjoyable week. Tomorrow I'm going to try to tie it into debate. Um, the stories that we've read are very dialogue heavy, and you can see the playwright influence in the stories. So I'm going to try to tie it into debate because a lot of the stories, they're having a debate, guys. Someone's trying to convince somebody of something. So let's roll with it. Other things I'm reading. Well, you got McLuhan. I need to get back to that. I've kind of taken a break because it's broken my brain in many ways. But then I've been reading Screwtape Letters. We're doing that for a book club at church. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through the book now. I read it once 25 years ago. So it's another one of those, oh, this is very fun, to kind of come back to it and reread it again. I'll probably go through most of the Lewis canon. Like I said, now that I've got 25 years of experience to look back and appreciate it. I definitely want to get into the space trilogy again. I've got this idea for a dystopian literature class I want to start developing uh, based on the idea around it. It could probably only be a semester, but we would read 1984, Brave New World, and then finish up with That Hideous Strength. And
Okay.
it would essentially, I would essentially make it an escalation ladder where like 1984 is solid, 1984 is good, Brave New World is probably more correct, but then That Hideous Strength is most correct. No, guys, It's demons. They're all talking to demons.
Right. Well, yeah, it's interesting.
Unleash the bears. You know.
I've never read the space trilogy. All right, and listen, my priest.
That's the one thing I have over you. That's the one thing I have over you is that I
Yeah,
read it.
my
And it's like,
priest
bro, you
is
gotta.
he's constantly mad at me for me not reading it. You know, and he actually gave one of the other guys at our church. Our priest gave him all 3 of the space trilogy books. You know,
Yeah,
just
man.
gave him, and he's like, "You got to read these."
Look,
And
it's the book trilogy that if I'm one of Lewis's colleagues, I'm like staying away from him after I read it because
really,
I'd be going, Alex, Lewis is gonna shoot all of us.
okay,
He's gonna murder all of us, dude. He's just gonna kill us, guys. We got to get this guy out of here. Like if it was published today, he would be canceled.
So my wife wants to read it, right? So she's gonna, we're all gonna read it after Lent because she wants to. She's like, my wife, like, my wife does not like. She's not reading any fiction during Lent. She's only reading like, you know, nonfiction, like Orthodox books and stuff right now. So she's like, I'm not gonna read anything that's like fun or whatever. Not fun, but like, you know, like not, you know, like any fiction until after Lent. So we all agreed that we're gonna read it together. So I'm gonna read it. My wife's gonna read it. My friend James is gonna read it. We're all gonna read it together. So yeah, that we'll probably.
I'll try to grab it. I'll try to grab it and read it as well. I'm having a thought, and I want to see if you agree. The space trilogy is C.S. Lewis's industrial society and its consequences arc. It's his Teddy K arc.
Well, I heard it's good. Like, you know, I don't love Chronicles of Narnia. I like Lewis, and I like his nonfiction a lot. I mean, I think Mere Christianity is a good book. I think the Four Loves is good. I think that the
Great Divorce,
the Problem of Pain.
Yeah, that was a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I like this Surprised by Joy, like his little kind of like biography almost. And so I do enjoy. I love Screw Tape. Yeah, Screw Tape is like is my favorite fiction of his. I read the first few Narnias. I read them to my daughter. I guess like I probably would have loved Narnia. I take that back. I read Narnia when I was in 5th grade, actually, and I enjoyed it. But at that time, I was like kind of like I was into like reading like the Dungeons and Dragon kind of books, like you know, Forgotten, you know, like Forgotten Realms stuff, you know, that type of stuff. So like I wanted, like, I was reading like Wheel of Time at that time, you know, so I wanted like action and stuff, and Narnia is kind of mellow in a way. So I didn't love it.
Did you ever get to the last battle?
No, I never got to the last battle, but no.
Maybe grab that one and read that one because it's whoa. It's
I know there's like an atheist gorilla or something like that.
It's crazy. It's good.
Right.
It kind of ties everything up nicely. That I remember Chronicles of Narnia very fondly because of the last battle, and it's just payoff, complete total payoff.
So I'm trying to quit caffeine.
Whoa, right? What?
I know it's rough, right? I'm trying to quit caffeine because I've gotten to the point where, like, I think I drink like, I don't know, 20 cups of coffee a day, and I probably have like 3 to 4 giant Red Bulls on top of that. And I think I've like fried my brain completely, right? Like I'm actually like,
that's fair.
Like the second I'm not consuming caffeine, I put the cup down. I just need to go to bed instantly. Like I've gotten to the point where like I've like fried my like adrenal glands or something, or calcified my pineal third eye or something with so much I'm like, I think I've like gotten to the point where I've caffeine poisoned myself, right? And quitting caffeine is like the hardest thing. Like I quit smoking, right, many years ago, and I'm pretty good at quitting smoking, and I can quit drinking instantly. Like I haven't drank a while, and like I don't never have any like alcohol cravings, but caffeine, like if I don't drink caffeine constantly, I get the worst headaches on the face of the planet. Like I'm talking about, like it feels like somebody's like taking their thumbs and like shoving them into my eyeballs. So I'm like doing like kind of like a in stages of quitting. So I've given up Red Bulls. That's my first. Right, this week I have not had a Red Bull in like about a week, and I'm telling you, like I get to around noon at work, which is my usual like pop open of I need to drink water, and I've been pounding water, but like I go to pop open like a Red Bull, but I can't do that. So like I'm driving home in the afternoon, and like I feel like somebody's like punching the side of my skull. It's just really bad. So I haven't like been able to like really focus on like a novel. I haven't been able to focus on like reading. And so what I have been doing is reading short stories. And I'm reading Haruki Murakami's short story collection called Men Without Women, and it's just it's if you're not, I don't know, are you familiar with Haruki Murakami?
I'm not. No.
He writes. He's Japanese. He writes like big kind of like magical realism kind of stories. He wrote his big ones are the Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, Kafka on the Shore, Norwegian Wood, and I think I'm a big fan of his. I'm a big fan of Japanese writing. I'm a big fan of like the kind of the ideas, and I really liked Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, which was a really crazy fucking book. But his work is usually like he's very basically like his writing is very like Japanese David Lynch almost. It's got this like weird stuff happens. Like and the Wind-Up Bird is basically this like kind of like schlub guy that lives in Tokyo, and he lives with his wife and this cat disappears. And then his wife disappears. And he just kind of like was like, well, I don't know what to do. And he ends up like spending most of the time going down into this well in his backyard in the dark and basically teleporting himself to this like hotel through the well. So it's very David Lynch kind of stuff, right? And but the short story collection, Men Without Women, there's not a lot of magical realism to it. So far there hasn't been any. And the first kind of story in it is this story called Drive My Car, which was made into a really good Japanese movie from 2 years ago. I don't know if you ever heard of it. And if you guys haven't heard about it, Drive My Car is a really good movie. And it's a 3-hour Japanese movie about a guy who has this young girl drive him around in his car. And that's basically the whole story in the whole movie. But it's a really deep kind of movie because he's like an actor, and his wife was also an actress, and his wife passed away of like rapid cancer, and he can't drive anymore because his vision's kind of going bad. So he hires this like young Japanese girl who's kind of like a butch, kind of ugly girl and she's kind of a gruff, quiet, but she's a really good driver, and she's driving him around in a Saab to these like this place. He's an actor, and they're putting on Uncle Vanya. And who wrote Uncle Vanya? Was that Chekhov that wrote Uncle Vanya?
I don't know.
And he basically
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, right? And yeah, it is Chekhov, yeah. Which is funny that you were talking about Chekhov. And basically, like, he's kind of like telling this 22-year-old girl all about like, his life and how his wife cheated on him, and he's not mad at her because she's dead. And he doesn't understand why. It's very existential. It's a very good movie. It's a very good short story, but that's what I'm reading. But all right, guys, I think we're gonna call it a night, right? I'm good. You good? Everybody's good. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. I think we doing it next week. Let me look at my schedule. I think we should be doing it next week. I don't think we have. It's not Holy Week next week, right? It's regular week. I think
we got 2 weeks. Yeah, I think we got 2 weeks till Holy Week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it offline. We'll come up with some good topics. We'll have this episode edited and put out tomorrow morning. I don't work tomorrow, so I have it for the first thing in the morning, and it should be awesome, man. Hey, and Civil Engineer, like, we used to start at 5 p.m. Eastern time, right? And that we moved it to 7 p.m. right?
Yeah.
But you're probably like not on. We're East Coasters, okay? It is almost like it's 17 minutes past Fisto's bedtime. It's probably actually an hour and 17 minutes past Fisto's bedtime. But that's why we put out these episodes. We never, for you guys like
we
are
should do a
new
West
to
Coast
like
episode
listening live,
someday.
we never really. Yeah, but you gonna stay up, old man? Like,
Yeah.
I stay up. I
over
was
the
up until
summer-
2 in the
over
morning last
summer.
night shit posting. I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that.
over the summer.
Like,
Oh, I did.
I was out
And
there
like
shit
half-
posting
I-
at 2 a.m. Right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I tried to like them all.
Yeah, I got like 2 hours of
sorry, you were
sleep
saying.
last night. I had to wake up at 5, and I'm like, bro, it's like 2 o'clock. Yeah, but what's okay? So what's funny is like this whole live stream thing. It was kind of a fluke that we started doing it. We should just do it as a
Yeah.
regular episode. Like, you know, we do them offline episodes, and we record them with the guests and whoever, and then I would edit them and put them out. But I think it's just fun. But ultimately, like, this as a regular podcast episode is kind of what the goal is. The live stream is more like we're having fun with it. You know, I think it's added an extra level too, you know. But yeah, all right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Good night. We will talk next week. If there's any topics you guys want us to address, please do. I'm not going to address like the elephant in the room, which is the war with Iran, because I've got nothing to say about that, because I don't think anybody knows what's going on with that. Right.
Nah.
But you know, those Marine units are supposed to be arriving there over the weekend, you know, and I've noticed that like they tend to like wait till the market closes, then crazy stuff happens over the weekend, and then it like gets fixed by the time like the market opens up again on Monday. So it's really great that we have leadership who really cares about our stock market rotations. But yeah, so there's nothing really much to say about that. I'm probably gonna turn us off, go get a cup of non-caffeinated tea so I can kick my caffeine addiction and get back to Substack shit posting, because I don't have to do anything until tomorrow. So good night, Fisto. Good night, everybody. Wonderful conversation, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.